Jenny says, pardon another question. Have a new lead gen client, home repair niche, who wants to go revenue share route. I'm willing to try it out. Any recommendation on contract percentage, guidelines, advice? Thank you so much for your dedication to success of others, sincerity, and excellent products that help me to get where I am with my biz. I appreciate you very much. Yeah, Jenny, I mean, it's always, in my opinion, it's always a case by case. Revenue share is something that there's not really a templated answer that I can give you, because that's really just a personal, an actual agreement between you and that business owner. And that's why I like the revenue share model, because it's really whatever terms the two parties agree to, or all parties that are involved agree to, right? You can literally devise whatever agreement you want, and just as long as all parties agree to it. And so, you know, like home repair niche. Now, like for example, with my best tree service provider, I get 10% of all of whatever the contract price is. Well, let me rephrase that. I get 10% of the labor costs of the contract. So let's say it's a $10,000 tree removal job, which would be like, you know, removing several trees on a property. I get 10% of that, unless there's some material expense, which is rare for tree service contractors because it's mostly all labor. Like occasionally my tree service contractor will get some sort of landscaping job. He doesn't like to do those, but sometimes he'll do some sort of landscaping work where he'll have to buy some materials like river rock or, you know, mulch or something like that. And when he does that, then there's an expense that, you know, like let's say he's got $400 in material expense and it was a $3,000 contract. Well, then there's $2,600 left and I'll get $260 because I get 10% of that. Does that make sense? So, but he only pays 10% on any on jobs that he closed, right? Leads that turned into closed sales. And then I get 10% of the revenue from that contract, less expenses. If that makes sense. However, I've also done revenue share with a home remodeling company. It was actually a kitchen remodeling company in Virginia Beach, actually. And for that, I would only get a very, very small percentage, like 5% of the profit because remember, they have a shit ton of costs. Like a general contractor, they might have a contract price for $30,000 for a kitchen, but they have to pay all their subcontractors and also pay for the materials out of that contract. The building materials. And so that $30,000 contract might only be, by the time everything's all said and done, an $8,000 profit, right? Or $8,000 or $10,000 profit. And so I would get a percentage of the profit. And that's just because that's the agreement I worked out with that particular prospect. I've heard about roofing people that do roofing jobs that get like 1% of the contract price or a 0.5% of the contract price. And you might see that, oh, well, that ain't shit. I don't want that. But think about, and this is, I've heard about people in the lead gen space that that work with commercial roofers. Marco and I were just talking about this the other day on a webinar. I don't remember which one it was, but commercial roofers, those jobs are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars, commercial roofing. So, and it's typically in the hundreds of thousands of dollars range. So a 0.5% of a $100,000 contract is still a considerable size chunk of change for one lead, right? And so that's why I said it really just depends. It's going to depend. It's going to be industry. It's going to depend on what the industry is and what kind of agreement you can work out. Anybody want to comment on that?
No, I think you nailed it, Bradley. It would all come down to. What kind of agreement you can come up with, and not only that, what kind of confidence, like how you're setting up your entire agreement in terms of if you have worked with this guy before, et cetera, et cetera. So we talked about that, the different types of agreements that you could have, like you could charge a small retainer plus some revenue share or lead, blah blah. So yeah, I totally agree with you in that regard. So
yeah. Okay, so great question though, Jenny. But yeah, I mean, you got to come join the mastermind, man, because there's a lot of stuff we go real in depth into that kind of stuff in the mastermind. So